think that multiple parts is not as effective as getting...
I'm not saying it's not as effective, it's just, I don't...
Not as reliable.
No, I think it's just, it's not... There are lots of things which I was taught to do, which I've never done. So, for example, in my stationery drawers at home, I have 50 sheets of diagnostic age regression tables running from 80 down to 0 in 2 columns so that I can count people down their ages, looking out for events, significant events at a year, and then count them up again to see if I get, and I printed out 50 of them in 2000, and all 50 of them are still sitting there. I just don't do it. I know all about subscales and systematic desensitization, and in all my years of practice I've never done it. I'm not saying it doesn't work or it's not effective, it's just not something that I'm personally drawn to. And the whole idea, the whole multi-parts, and it was all too complicated for me. And I don't think it needs to be that complicated. I think very often, I think it's easy for us to make therapy more complicated than it needs to be. And I think that we very often, we were talking earlier on outside about this gastric band hypnotherapy, which has been all the rage on and off over the last year or so, I suppose. And at the core of it, there's a direct suggestion which says you now have a gastric band fitted. But if you read through the protocol of the people that are doing this, or originated it, there's something like, I don't know how many it is, 8, 9, 10 sessions that take place over a week or two. They're 2-hour sessions. Most of the preliminary ones are traditional hypnotherapy, case history, talking to people about how their diet's going to be in the future, and then in the penultimate session, they hook up machines that are going to blow aroma into the atmosphere so that it smells like a hospital, and they play tapes with muted ambulance noises so that people hear that they're in a hospital, and then they give them a guided visualization where they're being carried on a gurney down the hospital corridors with an anaesthetist counting down from 10 to 0 while they get anaesthetized and all the rest of it. And then they fiddle around with their belly button or whatever they do, and then they give them a direct suggestion, which is now you've got a gastric band. Now, if the person's a good enough hypnotee to buy the suggestion you now have a gastric band, you don't need a machine to play hospital noises. You can say, now you can hear the hospital noises, and now you can smell the hospital smells. If they're that good a hypnotee, the idea itself is great. You've got a gastric band, but all the rest of it is packaging. All the rest of it is probably commercially very sensible packaging, because you can get 11 sessions out of it instead of 1 or 2, including the consolidation session. But the rest of it's packaging. And I do think very often we may complicate things which can be easier, done more simply.